All right, part 2, getting it to work. So it's working. Hit the top button. It goes into where the alarm is set. Hit the other button. It tells you the time zone. And then it goes online and figures out what the weather is. And it says New York. I don't care what the weather is in New York. I'll push the bottom button. Goes and gets the weather. London. That's pretty cool. I like London. Lived there for a month once. Click it again. You get Beijing. So you get different cities, and that's actually part of the firmware that you can change, and I'll need to change that. So I should back up. First of all, it comes flashed. So when you turn it on, it does have a program in it, and it does run this. So I haven't downloaded any code into it yet. So this is all working as is. Now you say, well, how does it get onto the internet? I have a password and stuff on my internet. Well, it's got that figured out. So when you first turn it on, it says, in order to configure the internet, you need to hold this button down 3 seconds. So you hold this button down 3 seconds, and that message just kind of freezes. It just stays there. So don't be kind of worried about that. Hold it down for 3 seconds, and if it looks frozen, that's a good thing, okay? And then what you need to do is log into this thing. So it becomes a web server. And so I couldn't do it with my iPhone. I had to use an Android device. So you need to go into your settings, okay, and turn off your Wi-Fi or change your Wi-Fi. So when you first turn on the Wi-Fi, it'll give you a list of available Wi-Fis. Do not log into the one you're normally logged into. Look down the list, and you'll see one that's called MakerFab-AR, I think, something like that. Anyway, it'll say MakerFab. And so click on that one, and your device will then log into this as the web server, okay? So once you do that, then go into a browser like Chrome or something, and then you type in an IP address, 192.168.4.1, and it'll come here to MakerFab. And then it says, click here to set Wi-Fi, and you click here, okay? And then it'll go to the next page, and let me show you that. Okay, all right, I've already lost that page, and I don't want to do it again because I'd have to reset the whole device and everything. But so when you hit the set your credentials here, you click on the here button, and then you get a web page that says, what is the name of your router, and what is the password? And you type in those two things, and you hit set. Okay, and then if it works all correctly, this thing will then go on to the next. It will go on and give you time and everything, and it'll log in. Okay, and so if you want to watch this going on, you can connect to the USB and bring up a terminal. So I went into the Arduino development system and browsed or turned on a serial connection, and this is set to 115,000 baud, whatever it is, and then you can watch this thing get the address and log in, and you can make sure everything's okay, so you can kind of watch this thing. So it's starting to get really complicated to use this thing. All right, so but I did get it to go, and it does work. So now the next step is to go into the software and set in my city. I want it to say San Jose. I want it to give me the weather here in San Jose. I don't know if it'll have Santa Clara. We're kind of a small city. I'll try Santa Clara, but we'll see if it has. We'll see if it has that. We'll see if it has San Jose. It should have San Jose. It's the biggest, one of the biggest cities. It's much bigger. It's bigger than San Francisco. So if it's got San Francisco, it's got other things. All right. So that's how you do it. You have to hold down the button, and then you log into this thing, and then you give it that IP address, and then you set your password and everything in it, and say set, and then this thing knows, and then there's a battery in it right now, and I didn't show that, but I can put the battery in it. There's a battery in it now, and now it works. Okay, you can get the alarm, you can get the time. Although the time is 1 hour off from where I am, so I got to figure that one out too. So it's getting complicated. And yeah, so now it's time to actually go in and change the software because I can't. This is not useful to me as is. Okay, so I need to go into the Arduino development system and load in a bunch of libraries and change the code and yeah, we'll see if I have to log back into it. And yeah, it's going to be a large program, a large project. I mean. So anyway, that's where we are so far. Let's go back to the my studio and see if we can't do some software development. Okay, it's working. Santa Clara. It's 29C, 72% humidity. So how did I do that? Okay, let's take a look. If you want to do it to your project, this is what's necessary. So the documentation is very good. Like I said, it teaches you how to solder and everything, but in the end, it tells you how to do that login thing I talked about. It's all in here. Okay, how to set up your Wi-Fi and everything, and then what the buttons do. How do you set the alarm and stuff? Then note one. Note one is how to change the firmware, and it gives the address of the GitHub page to download everything. You need to be familiar with the Arduino IDE and have been able to do that before. You put the USB cable in and everything. You need to figure out which USB, which COM port this device was on. Mine was on 16, but yours is going to be on something else. So you need to figure out which COM port you're on and set your Arduino to that COM port. You need to be able to program ESP32, so you need to go into the Arduino library and download all the code to support ESP32s. I had already done that for other projects. Mine was already in there. Then you set your board to the ESP32 dev module. Okay, so that's real standard stuff. All right, then you're going to need some other libraries. Okay, you're going to need the Adafruit GXF library. And that's easy to install. You just go into the library manager and search for GXF, and it'll come up Arduino Adafruit. Download that one. Say install. You need to have the ST7735, so you need to install that. You need to have the Arduino JSON, JSON. You need to install that one. Then you need to modify your code for which cities do you want. Okay. So, sorry about the big print here. I don't know why it did that. So, this is the only line you need to modify. It says string weather location. And in quotation marks, I figured out that you can't put any spaces, you can't put any dashes in it. It all needs to be run together, okay? So Santa Clara needs to be one word, capital S, and everything else little. Santa Clara, San Jose, San Francisco, Los Angeles, all together. They need to be run all together, and then it'll cycle through these, and I can show that to you. So it's Santa Clara right now. Goes to San Jose. Goes to San Francisco, and goes to Los Angeles, and then back around. Okay. So that's what it takes, and then you download it. Now, when you download the ESP32s, you need to get them into the boot mode, okay? And I told you about there was two secret buttons on the bottom. One is the reset button, and one is the boot button. So every time you modify your code, and just before you download it, you need to hit that boot button, and hit the boot button, and then it'll take the code. If you don't hit the boot button, you can't download into this thing. So that's what those two buttons are for. Let me show you this thing booting. Okay, I'm going to reach underneath. Where's the button? Right there. I'm going to reach underneath and hit the reset button so you can watch it boot. Okay. I have a little IMSAI guy splash in there. So it tells you how to do the Wi-Fi thing. You need to push button 3 down. It tries to log into your Wi-Fi network. It says connect Wi-Fi successful, and then you get a splash screen, Makerfabs, then it comes up, and now you're running. Now you're getting the time, and the time is correct now. I said I was an hour off. I don't know what happened, but now it's perfect. So figured it out. And then if you want to go to the next screen, you hit this button. That gets you your alarm. Next button is your time zone, and the next button is the weather. and it starts with the first one in your list, which for me is Santa Clara. So yeah, that's all there is to it. Seems like a good kit. With all these things, you know, you really need to be familiar with Arduino code and all that development stuff, and talking to different types of chips, you know, not just Arduino boards, but also ESP boards and everything. So each one is a bit different. But if you've done that before, you should have no problem with this kit. And like I said, the documentation is fairly decent. The GitHub page has everything you need in it. So yeah, there you go. If you want a cute little clock, I think they're about $20, something like that. Yeah, it's fun. So there you go. Project for the day.